Once upon a time, nestled between rolling hills and a glistening river, there was a village named Rivervale. It was a quaint little town where life was simple and the days were filled with the sweet melody of birdsong. Among these feathered friends, there lived a crow named Kavi. Now, Kavi wasn't just any crow. Oh no. Kavi was known throughout Rivervale for his sharp mind and his knack for solving problems that even the cleverest human had struggled with. The villagers often gathered around their homes, chuckling and shaking their heads in disbelief at the antics of this extraordinary bird. One sweltering summer, however, the laughter in Rivervale turned to gasps of surprise, and then to worried murmurs. The river that had given the town its name had dried up. Not a single drop of water could be found in its path, and the once playful gurgling had been replaced by an eerie silence. All the animals suffered terribly from the scorching heat and were desperate for a drink of water. They searched high and low, hoping to find a hidden stream or a puddle, but their efforts were fruitless. Each creature became weaker and thirstier with each passing day. Amidst this widespread misery, Kavi also felt the burning sensation of thirst deep within him. But being a clever crow, he didn't panic. Instead, he took to the skies and flew over Rivervale in search of a solution. As he soared above the town, his sharp eyes scanned every nook and corner, looking for a source of water. Suddenly, his gaze fell upon an old clay jar standing on the windowsill of an abandoned house. Kavi swooped down, landed gracefully on the window ledge, and peered into the jar. To his delight, he saw some water at the bottom. Hope fluttered in his chest. But upon closer inspection, he realized that the opening of the jar was too narrow for his beak to fit through. The rim was smooth, and there was no way he could possibly get his beak inside. Kavi knew that if he didn't come up with a plan soon, not only would he die of thirst, but so would all the other animals. The thought of his fellow creatures' suffering spurred him into action. He had to find a way to get that water. Kavi looked around and noticed some pebbles lying near the riverbank, remnants of when the river had been flowing. An idea began to form in his mind, a crazy idea that just might work. With renewed determination, Kavi flew back to the jar and started dropping pebbles one by one into the narrow opening. At first, it was slow going, but as he continued, a pattern emerged. Each pebble he dropped caused the water level to rise a little higher. Encouraged by this, Kavi redoubled his efforts and continued dropping pebbles until the water reached the top of the jar. With a final push, the jar tipped over and spilled its contents onto the ground. The sight that greeted Kavi was pure magic. A small pool of water, sparkling in the sunlight, lay before him. Overjoyed, he let out a triumphant squawk and took a long drink, the water cascading down his throat like liquid gold. With his thirst now quenched, Kavi took to the skies again, this time flying over the parched riverbed. He cawed loudly, calling out to the other animals to come and see the miracle he had created. One by one, they gathered around the water, their eyes wide with disbelief and gratitude. The thirsty animals drank their fill, their tired bodies rejuvenated by the life-giving liquid. News of Kavi's ingenious solution to the drought problem spread like wildfire through the animal kingdom. Every creature, big and small, praised Kavi for his quick thinking and bravery. From that day forward, Kavi became a legend, his name whispered with reverence in every forest and meadow. And whenever the animals of Rivervale gathered together, stories of Kavi's cleverness would fill the air, reminding them that even in the darkest of times, hope and intelligence could prevail. Now let's talk about some more interesting things about this story. Do you know why Kavi became a legend after solving this problem? Well, he didn't just solve a problem. He solved it in a really smart way. That's right. Even though Kavi was a bird, he used his brain to come up with a great idea. Sometimes we forget that animals are really smart, especially birds. Did you know that crows are super smart birds? Like Kavi, they can solve really tough puzzles, remember things really well, and even recognize themselves in the mirror. It's kind of like they know who they are, which is pretty amazing for a bird, right? But why is it important for us to know that animals like crows are so smart? Well, it's because we share this world with all kinds of animals, and we need to understand that they're not just different from us. They're also really capable and intelligent. So next time you see a bird or any other animal, remember that it might be smarter than you think. Now, let's think about how Kavi used his smarts to help everyone in the story. When the river dried up, All the animals, including the birds, were scared and thirsty. But instead of panicking, Kavi took to the sky to look for a solution. He searched and searched until he found a jar with some water, but he couldn't get to it because the opening was too small for his beak. But instead of giving up, Kavi got creative. He started dropping pebbles one by one into the jar. This is a great example of trying different ideas until something works. We call this scientific thinking. And guess what? It worked. Kavi was able to raise the water level little by little until it was high enough for him to drink. And here's another thing. Do you remember how Kavi flew over the dry riverbed after he had water? He wanted all the other animals to know that they had water too. That's the power of sharing. By helping others, we make sure that everyone knows how to solve the problem. And that's exactly what Kavi did. He helped not only himself but all the other animals in Rivervale. And let's not forget that Kavi didn't have any special tools or materials. He used whatever he could find, his intelligence and the pebbles, to solve the problem. This is an important lesson for all of us. Sometimes we think that we need fancy tools or a lot of money to make a difference. But really, all we need is a good idea and the courage to try it out. So the next time you face a challenge, remember Kavi, the clever crow who used his brains and a few pebbles to save the day. And don't forget that you too are capable of amazing things. You might be just one person, but with a good idea and some hard work, you can make a difference in the world just like Kavi. Hey there, little learners. If you enjoyed this adventure with Kavi the clever crow, we've got plenty more exciting tales ready for you. Click on this video and let your imagination take flight. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on our wonderful stories. And always remember, a good idea and a helping heart can change everything.